What is going on, everybody? We are a couple days out from Super Bowl, less than a week from the Super Bowl, but we had a lot of news happening. The Bills Nation. We got some music playing in the background there.
What the hell?
We had a lot of news breakdown with the Bills this week. A lot of coaching changes as we expected if Brian Daboll was to depart, and we had that. And as always, thank you for tuning into your Tuesday touchdown. This is nothing. It's nothing personal, just Bills. I am host JTM, and I got my guys in the locker room with me as normal. James Mallory, NFL pedigree, like they call him,
What's up? What's up, everybody? Let's get it. Let's get to it.
and Bills beat reporter Muki Hawkins, as always. Mook, what's going on, man?
Hey man, I'm hanging in there, baby.
A lot of changes this week. But I think we're gonna really dig into this. Ken Dorsey replacing Brian Daboll, and I mean, obviously the Bills had to play a little bit of leverage game with him. I like the negotiating strategies too. I want to talk about that a little bit tonight too. Negotiation tactics by first Ken Dorsey and then by the Buffalo Bills to come back. And I don't know if people noticed it, but just in case you guys aren't aware, if you have been living under a rock after the Bills lost that game in 13 seconds, Brian Daboll, yes, is now gone. He is now the new head man of the New York Football Giants, as Chris Berman would say. And we wish him well. He also took over with a guy Joe Schoen as the new GM, and a couple of people. Bobby Johnson, O-line coach, went with him. My man, I can't think of his name. The quarterbacks coach,
Shay Turney.
Jay Turney, went with him as well, and the
Shay
front
Turney.
office. Yeah, Shay Turney and the front office lady. Young, right? Lori Young went with him as well.
Yeah, Laura Young.
So we'll be seeing if more go with them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the Bills made moves quick. Obviously, I thought that we were gonna lose Ken Dorsey last week. I'm not gonna lie. I was to the point where I'm like, we gonna lose Dorsey, and I was okay with it. Like I said, I would love to keep the guy. There's nothing against them, but with Josh Allen in this offense, I think anybody be signed up for this job. But we're able to keep him. Mook, I'm gonna come to you first on this. Did you, at any point in time, did you think Ken Dorsey was going to take this Giants OC job? And then we're going to talk about why he did not.
Dorsey was staying here in Buffalo no matter what. Why go somewhere and be an offensive coordinator of a rebuild when you could be the offensive coordinator of a Super Bowl contending team? It just didn't make sense. If he was to go to the Giants, then they probably paid him $2.5 million to go. But when you got Josh Allen pounding the table for you and basically going to tell the front office, hey, this is basically who the guy I want, that front office better do whatever they can in their power to make sure that guy never leaves. And that's what they did. And it wasn't a doubt in my mind that Dorsey was going to leave.
James, I'm going to come to you. Dorsey, this is something that we talked about. We've been talking about this for a year now, about Ken Dorsey eventually being the successor to Brian Daboll and the role being already carved out for him. And then, boom, the shock that you start happening. We start hearing the rumors that Ken Dorsey may be following Brian Daboll. Did you ever think he was going to follow him? And do you think the fact that Brian Daboll is still going to be calling plays played a big part in him staying in Buffalo?
No and no. He wasn't going nowhere. I mean, I think it was a bluff on both ends. I mean, the Bills technically had to, interview other people. So you know how that stuff go. I didn't believe it one bit. I'm like, if he did leave, I don't even think money would have played a part in that. Like Mookie said, like even if they paid him 2.5, I mean, Ken Dorsey goal is probably be an NFL head coach. It's way faster track if you got Josh Allen as your quarterback than to go experiment and go deal with that rebuild over there in New York. So I mean, you really don't even know what Daniel Jones is going to be. I mean, you still got offensive line problems. You got issues over there. So I don't think it had to do with play calling. I think it was more like just common sense, business sense. He wasn't going anywhere. I mean, he's going to be able to mold this offense the way he's been around it for a few years now. He knows exactly what he want to do. And like I said before, you can't tell me in-house he didn't know he was next in line. He knew. He knew the whole time. Everybody knew. I mean, I don't think nobody in the building is surprised that he took the job and he's the new OC.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried, and I was trying to play devil advocate. So I put a post out, and I wanted to think about the reasons of why I felt Ken Dorsey might go to New York. Ultimately, I sided with you fellas here. It'd be smarter to stay with Josh Allen. I think I made a comment on the show a while back that if a franchise quarterback stays with a franchise for 12 years, and he's legit a franchise quarterback and Hall of Fame quarterback, and obviously we know that the trajectory that Josh Allen's headed on, 3 offensive coordinators get head coaching jobs under that quarterback while he's there. I think the record shows that. I was playing devil advocate, and I thought, okay, well, maybe he'll go to New York. Maybe he's trying to fast track himself to a head coaching job, just saying, okay, if I can make Daniel Jones look somewhat admirable, then maybe they're gonna look at me. But then once I heard that he wasn't calling plays, I said, I don't know what this is about. Why would you take that job? On the other hand, I also weighed the options that not only that Zach Taylor, the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, was the quarterback's coach with the Rams when he got his head coaching job. He was not offensive coordinator. So we have seen in the latest trend in NFL that teams are hiring head coaches that are not necessarily coordinators at this point in time. So I'm happy to see him stay. I think that, if this is who Josh Allen wanted, this is who the Bills wanted. And I want to get your thoughts on, we're at the point now where Sean McDermott said, we're not going to make a choice without Josh Allen having involvement. Is that the right call? Because we've seen this with other teams. We've seen it backfire with teams like Russell Wilson, people like Russell Wilson, but we've also seen this be successful with guys like Tom Brady. Is that the absolute right thing to do? Involve your $258 million quarterback in these big time decisions, even though he's only 25? Mook?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, it's in the words of Bill Parcells, you know what I mean? If they want you to cook the food, at least should be able to let you shop for some of the groceries, right? So if you want Josh Allen to cook, you got to bring in the guys that he's comfortable with. His input is very much needed. And that's why guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson want out of the places that they're in, even though they've had great success there. But they feel that their opinion isn't valued. And for $58 million, I want to know what's going on in my franchise quarterback mind. What makes him comfortable on the guys that we need to bring in here? And Bean had a valid point on why is that? Because you don't know what these guys could have had an altercation or whatever. He said it in bringing in Trubisky. He's like, before I make this decision, Josh, I'm reaching out to you to see if there's any disagreement. Did you guys ever had any differences or anything that I should know about? And that is very important, you know what I mean, in reference to that, because something like that almost happened when a guy named Antonio Brown was about to be coming here, and we all know why that trade didn't happen, you know what I mean, because you do your due diligence, you ask the players, is this guy welcome and he's wanted? Apparently he wasn't welcome and wanted. So you don't want nobody to come in to be a distraction and break up your locker room and kill what you have culturally. So, of course, call it a new wave or whatever the case may be. But I think it's important to listen to your franchise quarterback, and his input is necessary.
James, what's your input on that? Like I said, obviously you've been in NFL locker rooms. I remember you was in that locker room with Josh Freeman. Now, obviously, Josh was, when you were there, he was really young, so I don't know how much input he had. If we go by the Bill Polian in terms of development of quarterback, he was still finding his parking spot. How important is it for your franchise quarterback to have that input to you?
I think it's important, especially when you got somebody at the level of Josh Allen, man. I mean, this dude is flat out elite. Anybody that say he's less than, once again, take him to the nearest clinic, get him drug tested. Something they on something. I mean, you have to. I mean, you can't make a decision without his input. Make the decision, no. Input, yes. It's a difference. You have to. I mean, he's your franchise guy. If he's comfortable, you can't bring somebody in he's just totally not comfortable with. That's just going to be a disaster. Like I said, I think it's been something in the works for 2 seasons now. We all thought Daboll was gone last year. He didn't leave, but obviously this year was his year. But Daboll's turn, or Dorsey's turn now. And I mean, you got to let him, have input in that decision, in my opinion. $258 million quarterback, an elite top 5 quarterback, in my opinion. Yeah, and all jokes aside, we have a top 5 offense this year, which I think we're going to be elite. Dorsey's going to be gone anyway. I don't think he's going. I doubt he's here 2 years. We have a good year. Somebody gonna snatch him. He's gone.
And that's nothing. I want to get to the Joe Brady because I think that Joe Brady just set himself up in a very good position. And I do want to talk about him a little later in the show and what his position is on this Bills staff, as well as Aaron Cromer, who we just announced as hiring as our offensive line coach, who actually was here in 2015 and 2016, and we had the #1 rushing attack in those seasons, I believe. So I like the chess match of negotiating between the Bills and Dorsey. Now, Dorsey said, you know what? I've been here. I've been sitting back. I've been waiting. I've been on the sideline. I've been doing my job. But I want my money up front, too. I want a little bit of money up front. So he negotiates with the Giants. He didn't have to. And you're right, James. They absolutely had to interview other candidates. We know how the rules go. We've seen a lot of things about the rules lately, lawsuits and all that stuff. So we know that they had to interview other people. But I think he played he did a good job of negotiating to get himself some more money up front. Now, obviously, you'll never get those terms out of Buffalo, what he got, because we don't get terms out of Buffalo half the time. But he did a good job. And I thought the Bills did a good job when they said, okay, reports are coming out that maybe he was leaning toward taking his position. Well, we're going to go interview some other candidates real quick. Like, hold on. You know what? You're not sure you want to come? Okay, don't worry. Don't worry about it. Go on to New York. All I know, after they interviewed, was it Edgar Bennett and T. Martin, he hurried up and came back and accepted this job because they're going to move on without you. Because when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, and to your point that he's elite, anybody's going to come take this job. I don't care if you're a young coach looking for an opportunity to be a head coach, or you're like, as I said before, a Dick LeBeau who's this is a retirement job and you would like to stay here for the next 10 years till you say, I don't want to do this anymore. So with that being said, great negotiation of both situations, on both sides. Ken Dorsey gets the job. He gets a little bit more money up front. Josh Allen gets the guy he wants. But then we turn around and we bring in Joe Brady. Now, obviously, if you guys don't know the name Joe Brady was the LSU coordinator for the past 2 or 3 seasons at LSU. Young guy. He was probably, if you know anything about it, he was probably the hottest offensive coordinator candidate last offseason. And he went to Carolina, and I'm not gonna blame. I'm not gonna say it was Joe. I'm not gonna say it wasn't Joe. All I know is was in a great situation. He was fired after a 5-7 start. They ranked 28th in offense. It seemed to be after teams figured out the playbook and Sam Darnold still being the same Sam Darnold. Joe Brady lost his job. But in the day, creative minds. Now I'm going to start with you, James, because we talked about this earlier in the week and the creativity that may come with Buffalo. And I know Mook's going to touch on balance tonight about this. Joe Brady, good fit. Now, is he setting himself up possibly to be that successor to Ken Dorsey?
I mean, if you really watch what the Bills do, Mookie's inside, so he really knows. If you watch what the Bills do, every move they make is a calculated move. It's setting themselves up for the next move. They're never going to lead themselves with nothing. Ken Dorsey, once again, he was interviewed for the offensive coordinator job before Daboll even got it. So when he was hired as the quarterback coach, that was a plan for him to move up. It's all calculated moves. When Dorsey snatched to be a head coach next year, in my opinion, I think he'll be here 1 year, maybe, and I'm stretching, maybe 2. He's going to get a head coaching job. Then Brady's going to move up. He get that year to sit back, kind of study things, get more knowledge. You know how that goes. He came from the college game, get seasoned a little bit. He's going to be the next OC, if not Chad Hall. So it's kind of, to me, it's obvious what they're doing. The Bills how they running things is extremely smart. They're always setting themselves up 2 moves down 2 moves ahead all the time. It's chess with them, and that's why they're successful right now. So I think it's set up pretty nice.
It's the reason that the Giants trying to take their whole culture over there because they built something smart. Mook, Joe Brady, what you got on him?
Well, I mean, he come from, Sean Payton's tree. So you get off to a good start, learning from one of the best offensive minds in the game, and Sean Payton. And then, he leaves the Saints and go and get a job, with the University of Louisiana, LSU. And, you get those 5-star recruits. It's easy for your stuff to look good and at the pop. You know what I mean? When you got a bunch of 5-stars running around, and then you go ahead and get this this post grad quarterback in Joe Burrow, and voila,
Post grad.
you have some success. You go ahead and you win a national championship. So now your name becomes hot. You're the hottest thing out. So you go and test yourself on that next level, and he probably wasn't ready, to take on that responsibility just yet. So I think the Bills, it was a great move by the Bills to pick him up because he is a great offensive mind. It just isn't his time yet. I think he bit off more than what he could chew, but he went to the right team that allowed him and presented that opportunity. So, I mean, I get that. I've been there before where I thought I was ready for something and I quite wasn't. And this is a move. What you say, you got to take one step back to take 2 steps ahead. And just how James said, if this goes as planned, the Bills rack off a Super Bowl these next, one out of these 2 years, then yeah, Dorsey will be a hot candidate for a head coaching job. And guess what? Everything will still be rolling as according to plan. The offense won't miss a beat because obviously Joe Brady will be the next guy in place. If Dorsey was to leave, I do believe Chad Hall would have been the OC for the Bills.
Yeah, and I know James, you've been really high on this Chad Hall thing, and I just want to explain why, because like I said, Chad Hall is a guy that he doesn't get a lot of. They don't talk about him a lot.
Here they don't.
Right.
The Bill, a lot of Bills fans, they pay attention to what they want to pay attention to. If you go around the league, Chad Hall is one of the most well-respected wide receiver coaches in the NFL. Muki could tell you that. If you go to any NFL stadium and Muki's been around, Chad Hall has a lot of respect. It's the reason why, Stephon Diggs and them boys, they trust him. They respect him. Shady McCoy had a good relationship with him. That dude knows his stuff. He's a great football mind. He's a younger dude, though. You know what I'm saying? You got to realize Dorsey is he's not old, but he's a little older than what people think.
He's seasoned, though. He's seasoned.
Yeah. Dorsey's a little older than what you would think. He was with the U in the early 2000s playing.
Dorsey's 40? He's 40 years old.
So a lot of people act like he's early 30s. He's not, spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? He's been around for a while. And Chad Hall got to go through that. Even though he's been around, I think, he's obviously, like I said it before, Muki, you hit the nail on the head. I think Chad Hall probably would have got a shot, or next year would have got a shot. I think him or Brady will be the next OC here.
Well, you got to look at it. If Dorsey was to leave, Dorsey was the passing game coordinator. So who's next in place is the wide receivers coach, who knows the system, who knows how everything works within that passing game. The Bills, obviously, the offense went through the passing game. It wasn't a run game. So if Dorsey was to leave, next man up that knows that system, the next guy that Josh Allen and the rest of the team is comfortable with will be Chad Hall. So they're going to, whatever happened, they were to keep this in-house. You can't bring nobody in from somewhere else when you got a good thing going on offense. It's just not going to work. So that thing definitely would have been in-house. It just would have been to see, it just would have been like, okay, Chad Hall, you got your shot. You know what I mean? If you mess up this year, then we got to go and bring somebody else in. You know what I mean? But didn't work out that way. So everything stays the same. And if Dorsey, do what he's supposed to, then it's still a debate on whether do you make Joe Brady the OC or Chad Hall. We got a couple of years to figure that one out. But great moves by the Bills brass on doing what's right for the offense, keeping that intact from, a coaching standpoint.
And it's funny because you hit the nail on the head too, James, as far as talking about the Bills playing chess and being steps ahead. So you knew when Brian Daboll left that we were going to pencil in Ken Dorsey as the OC. And obviously, we know some things happen, and we thought possibly that may not be the case. If Leslie Frazier got a job, that you're probably going to pencil in Eric Washington possibly as the DC. And like this goes on. If Joe Schoen left, that you were going to give Brian Gaines back his old job, which he had before Schoen, before he went to the Texans and all that stuff. So it's like we're way ahead of the curve. So because I think that we've had 4 years to prepare for people to rip from our team. And luckily, this didn't happen. And I also want to touch on this is phase two to me of Sean McDermott's coaching career. Phase one was he was new. He didn't have much of a coaching tree or pipeline because all the coaches from the same tree as him under Andy Reid's tree were head coaches themselves. And Matt Nagy, Andy Reid was still in the league. Frank Wright. So from. So that's how you got to the Rick Dennisons. Obviously, Juan Castillo was here. Yeah. I mean, Leslie Frazier was a great addition. But now we're in phase two. He's built a good team. He's built a great culture. And coaches want to come coach on his staff. I think the league knows what type of head coach he is. And this is where you can see, say, hey, I can go get a Joe Brady, who was the hottest offensive coordinator candidate last offseason, to come here and say, hey, come learn the game. Come learn how to be an OC. You can do that right here. Then we'll give you an opportunity. 2 years ago, Joe Brady wouldn't have taken his job. 2 years ago, Aaron Kromer, when you bring in Aaron Kromer, and we're going to touch on him too, you're looking to win. Because where Aaron Kromer goes, W's tend to follow. You can go check the record. You can go check the stats. W's tend to follow. These are winning coaching moves. And these are aggressive coaching moves as well. This is not sit back and we're just going to promote somebody within just because we're going to do that, or we're going to get a guy that I'm comfortable with. These are winning, aggressive coaching moves. And I still expect the offseason on the player side to be the same way. We're going to be a little bit more aggressive. I think people think we are going to be. Just you guys would just touch on just what these moves means for Sean McDermott's staff moving forward. And by the way, if you guys are watching this show, which you are, because I see you watching it, can you give us a like, a subscribe, or retweet, whatever you got to do, hit the ring the bell, whatever you got to do. Mook, I'll come to you first.
Well, I mean, the problem is never the offense. I mean, it was at times, it was in Tennessee. It was, but it really wasn't. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. The best thing going for this team was the offense and, Josh Allen, obviously. So they did an awesome job of upgrading the offensive staff, even bringing in Aaron Kromer, because now you have a guy that's going to emphasize more on the run. When you look back at it, when he was here in his first stint, the Bills did have one of the top rushing attacks, but that was because they had Tyrod Taylor running the ball too. But you still blend that in with the running prowess of Josh Allen. But, they had a more sound and more effective run style. That's what he's going to bring back here. And is letting me know as well what the offensive coordinator is planning in that run game. You know what I mean? So now we got to wait and see, is he going to get the back that he prefers? Singletary, Moss, they're good, decent. But at the end of the day, you're not my guys, So Dorsey needs to find his style of running back to fit what he wants within that running game. You know what I mean? We already know what the passing game is going to be like. I think that he's probably going to get another speedy receiver, and we'll talk about that probably at another time. If you look at my mock draft, I did have a corner in my 1.0, but at the very bottom of that is another option. I chose a wide receiver, and it could either go either way. Right now, I'm leaning towards a receiver with the Bills at pick 25.
Me as well.
But on the flip side of what they're doing as a staff offensively, you see what's going to happen. There's going to be more of a balanced attack now with bringing Kromer in, a guy who's going to bring that nasty attitude up front. And, you might see a difference. You look to see some shakeups on this front, on this offensive line. There's going to be some possible guys to be letting go, contract situations. The Bills got to free up some money. They don't have a lot of cap to play with, and they gotta cut ties because the window is closing, whether you look at it or not. If the Bills don't keep up with the times and think that they have enough to win, they better look again, because you had 2 years in a row where you had a roster that was good enough to go, but coaching messed that up. Let's just keep it a buck. Coaching messed that up. So now you don't have a small window. You don't have a big window now. You got guys getting older. Cole Beasley, all right? So what you gonna do with that? Are we gonna still keep investing in Cole Beasley? And obviously we know what Isaiah McKenzie could do if he was in that role, or you have to bring in somebody else. What are we gonna do up front? Mitch Morris, you are scheduled to make $11.5 million this year. Okay. What do we do with that? Do we keep John Feliciano, have him restructure his deal, make him go to center at a cheaper price? I mean, he was effective at center as well. When he had to fill in for Mitch Morris.
Right.
Now, not to say that Mitch Morris didn't have a great season. I think Mitch Morris played his ass off this year. But now we look at the business side of, okay, I gave you X amount of dollars. We didn't get it done in this window. Okay, you have to take a pay cut moving forward for us to get where we need to go. Because right now we haven't got there yet. You got the Cincinnati Bengals. You got to look at teams on the rise. Cincinnati, Tennessee, those guys are up and coming. Beyond what Kansas City has to offer. So we have to deal with that and keep up with the Joneses in that regard. So, expect to see some shakeups, on both sides of the ball. Coach McDermott is definitely going to have to learn this part of the game now. Just keep in mind, this is his first rodeo of being head coach. He was never a head coach nowhere else.
Right.
So he's still learning, how to be a head coach. And now hopefully these 13 seconds taught his ass how to be, a head coach in that situation. You know what I'm saying? But now it's put up a shut up time and where they're going to go with making the necessary cuts, making the necessary restructuring, and bringing in the necessary players to get this team to the Super Bowl. If you got to make another splash, you got to make that splash. Look at the Rams. They make splash after splash and they're playing in the Super Bowl. So as much as that recipe gets old, it works. If you're trying to get to a Super Bowl now, we're not trying to wait 2 years down the line when the guys are on the end of their contracts and all of that stuff. Who does that? We're in the now business to get to the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl bust, especially for the Bills coming into this year. So if they're not making any splash moves or they're going to keep this team the same, the Bills will not make it to the Super Bowl. Let me repeat that. If the Bills keep this team the same, they will not make it to the Super Bowl. And they might be struggling to make it to the playoffs with Josh Allen.
James.
Significant changes coming to the Bills offense. I say yes. You're gonna have to go get another wide receiver. That's a huge need that people aren't talking about enough. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. Cole Beasley, I love Cole Beasley. Do you move on for that price tag? I think the answer is going to be yes. Isaiah McKenzie, I know a lot of people like him. He's too inconsistent for me. Got to go. Got to move on. That's just me.
I don't think he wants to come back anyway. I mean,
yeah,
if we go by anything he said in the last month, he ain't like he come back.
He's way too inconsistent for me.
About everything. This the last show, the last. I'm like, damn, he's just done with it. He gotta go get his bread.
Yeah, so I think you're gonna see a couple pop moves offensively. I think they're going to bring in a couple veteran corners and probably draft one in the second, maybe third round. But I definitely think it's going to be some significant changes.
I like JT's request, man. I've been blasting that everywhere since he said it, man. I kind of like that deal.
Yeah, which deal was that?
Making that trade for Greedy Williams, man.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that one. I love that one. Yeah, but offensively, man, I think we need a Cordell Patterson type. I've been pounding the table for pair Ronald Jones with Singletary. I think that would make a dynamic backfield. I think that would be both of them can pass block, both of them run the ball physical. Finding a guy that's going to be a home run hitter at running back is not many of those. To be honest with you, there's just not many of those playing in the league right now, and it'll cost you a pretty penny.
Let me ask you this question, James. I want to bring the first people to bring this up because it's something that I've been thinking. And you talk about home run hitter, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but you talk about home run hitter, and we're talking about half our regime going to the Giants, and we're talking about Saquon Barkley's coming up to a fifth-year option. We also talk about Tremaine Edmonds coming up to a fifth-year option. One of the things that you instill culture is sometimes you need a middle linebacker. The Giants don't have a middle linebacker. And I don't know if they want to pay Saquon Barkley. And here in Buffalo, we have the number one training staff. I'll say it again, the number one training staff in the league. We've had it for the last 4 years, and we're going to continue to have it. Would you trade Tremaine Edmonds straight up for Saquon Barkley?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
You don't set your defense back like that. The only way I would do that is if you go get Bobby Wagner or something like that. You don't set, that's the quarterback of your
I'm not
defense. You
doing it
don't
for
do that.
Bobby Wagner. I'm not trading Tremaine Edmonds for Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, I'm just saying, me personally in general, if I was to replace him with somebody like that, I'm not getting rid of him at all. I would pay him tomorrow. I've watched film on him. I don't get why people are so harsh on him. It's people that's, I mean, yeah, does he have his moments where we wish he could play better? Yes, of course. But dude is a baller, man. And Bills fans take him for granted way too much. And let's not forget, he's 23 years old. And he's baller. He's a baller. So I know I wouldn't make that trade. But offensively, you need to go get a Cordell Patterson type. You need to go get a wide receiver with some size. And I think you need that in the worst way. And honestly, people keep talking about we need a slot. You could play Stephon Diggs there a lot more next year. You solve a lot of problems. So you move Stephon Diggs in the slot next year more often. Not saying you don't move him to the slot completely. That's a matchup nightmare for defenses. With Gabe Davis on the outside, you gonna get somebody else that can play. That's a matchup nightmare. Don't forget Knox. And then if you get a Cordell Patterson with the 3 creative minds, don't forget Cromer was the run game coordinator with the Rams.
He was OC too with the Bears. He was OC with the Bears for a couple years as well.
Yeah, so he has a creative mind. So you got Brady, him, and Dorsey. If they get a player like that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I think that's something that I think it's definitely going to be some significant changes. I don't think it's going to be a ton of changes on the O-line. Feliciano scares me. He's been injured since he's been here. I would be open to maybe moving him to center. Not saying Mitch Moore. I like him, Mitch Morris, but Feliciano scares me with the injuries. But I think he'd be better off in that 6-man role. And so grab some new meat.
You know, and I like what you guys say. Like I said, the offensive line is going to be very interesting. Like I said, we're bringing in Cromer. We know he runs kind of both of a power scheme and a zone running scheme. More of a power though. He's more a man-on-man power scheme. That's what he ran here for the first 2 years in Buffalo as well, when he had Richie Incognito pulling around and just smashing everything in sight. But I just want to give a stat here. Since 2008, staffs with Aaron Cromer in there has ranked in the top 10 6 times in rushing yards, a rushing attack. 6 times in the top 10. So, like I said, with what comes with Cromer, also a lot of times does come with some success. Now, me personally, as far as the offensive line goes, I like what we have on the right side of the line. I love Darrell Williams at right guard. I'm not gonna lie, I love that move. Now, is he a little overpaid? Yeah, he probably should be in the $7 million to $7.5 million range when you look at his peers. Obviously, we know we got him at 9, which is okay right tackle money. So it's a little overpaid for right guard. But as you said, as James mentioned before, a while back, you know, you have a right tackle on a rookie contract. You have Deion Dawkins on it at this point, in my opinion, a very underpaid contract. The snowman's getting underpaid like crazy. So it makes it doable. I think you can extend Mitch Morse out 1 more season on this deal or 2 more seasons and bring that cap hit down from the 11, 12 million that it's going to be this year to create some space without actually moving him out of there.
Well, they say 7.5 by cutting him. So, you know, they got to figure that one out.
Well, at my point, I mean, would you have to cut Mitch Morse though? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be at least 7-8 teams in the league looking to trade for him if you were going to put him on the market.
Yeah, you gotta wiggle it out somehow. I mean, you gotta look at it too. They paid their whole offensive line last year. It didn't pan out. You know,
no,
I mean, Darrell Williams. I mean, you got to feel for the guy. I mean, he didn't have an issue. You know what I mean? I don't think that he had a bad season. It's just that now you're a cap couch to at $9.5 million. I mean, if we cut him, then you know that's saving another $7 million. If we cut AJ Klein this year, that's another $6 million.
AJ's gone.
Another $6 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even the kicker. I mean, even the punter, Hack. If we cut him, it's saving $1.25 million. Let's go draft a punter, especially if we're not punting in games. Why pay a punter $1.2 million? In some games, we're not even punting the ball. So, I mean, they got a lot of things they have to look at to get cap space to bring in the necessary players that they need to move forward with to get these guys over the hump, because you can't keep going with these same players. And, it's just not panning out. You see what happened against Kansas City. I mean, they got exploited with having Mario Addison, Matt Milano checking, Travis Kelce, Levi Wallace out there, period. So you can't go in with the same guys and think that, okay, we're going to get to the Super Bowl now. These guys finally get it. No, that is not going to happen. So expect some shaking up. Expect for this roster to be broken up. And, they got to put, friendships aside and make this a true business. If the Bills want to get to the promised land, they're going to have to, be a little bit more business oriented with it and cut ties. Or like you said, either extend, need to, to lessen that cap hit and, and use that money elsewhere. But other than that, if they don't, then, like I said, we're going to be sitting up here again talking why the Bills got ousted in the playoffs when they shouldn't have.
Well, no, I mean, the couple of those names you mentioned, I think those no-brainers. And I know a lot of people love Cole Beasley, but this at $6.2 million, he didn't play at the same speed. He's slowing down every year.
One touchdown.
I think that
one touchdown this year. Gabe Davis had 4 the last game he played.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer to move on from Cole Beasley. $6.2 million savings. That it's a no-brainer. I don't care I prefer if you trade him to somebody for a 4th, 5th round pick who's looking to maybe put him with a young quarterback. Maybe a Daniel Jones. Hell, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I said it's the Giants.
Yeah, send him to the Eagles. Send him to the Eagles. I'm playing the Eagles. I don't care. But he's a no-brainer. AJ Klein at $5 million. If you could have got out of that deal last year, then we got it last year. That's a no-brainer. Right there, just between those two guys right there is $11 million. So you can't tell me Buffalo can't create cap space. If you extend Mitch Morse a year out and you take $6 million off that cap hit for this season, there you go. Now you just create another $17 million. And there's other guys that you can move around and do cap space. Yeah, Darrell Williams. I like Darrell Williams at right guard, but I think you need to do something with that deal. A restructure, a pay cut, something like that to get him to the $7 million he probably belongs at for Ron Spears. I'm fine with that. Now you've created $21 million in space. So there's multiple ways to create space with this team, because I still think you need to make the splash at left guard. That's where I think the splash needs to come from. And I keep throwing the name out there, Brandon Scherf. That's the name I keep throwing out there, and I'll keep throwing that name out there. It's Brandon Scherf. That's the move.
He's going to want $13 and $15 million,
and that's fine. And I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to him.
If you do that, then you got to get rid of Mitch Morse.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm gonna tell you why you don't. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs have been doing the same thing for the last 4 years. I'm sorry. We have to do some things with the cap space that is not Brandon Beane type of cap things to do. Load the contract up, 3-year deal, bonus money, load it with all bonus money, base salary low. We're trying to win a Super Bowl.
What's wrong with Ryan Bates? I don't think Bates played bad though. I don't think
he played bad.
I don't think he played bad at all.
I don't think he played bad, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm comfortable with Brian Bates saying, hey, this is my bona fide starter for next year. We've seen this before with other people at this position. So I'm going to put Ryan Bates in competition with Mitch Morse, because he can play. Ryan Bates can play every position in the offensive line, except left tackle. So I'm going to put him in competition with Mitch Morse, with Darrell Williams, and with Spencer Brown.
Spencer Brown is your right tackle.
He is, but I'm just saying I'm going to put Bates in that competition though, because I don't want to just give Spencer. I mean, I think you still got to push him because he's young. You know, you don't want to think he coming in and he got the position. Hell, we didn't push
Darrell Williams. You could put Darrell Williams back at right tackle.
Well, Doyle gonna push him too.
I mean, maybe he will.
They're gonna try. They're gonna try to force that. I don't think he's not losing that job, but that's what's gonna be the competition.
Right.
Yeah. The issues is the guard to guard. The tackles are cool. Guard to guard is really the where Bills really struggled at. You know, Mitch Morse, he had his great season, best season as a Bill this year. So I would, I'm cool with extending him just to lessen the cap. You know what I mean? Keep him around. But if not, you already know. I'm walking around. If I'm McDermott, I'm walking around with my axe. Everybody be nervous on the roster right now. I'm walking around with an axe just to look in everybody's locker. Like, man, you say something? Oh, okay. I thought you said something. I'm walking around with my axe, bro. So
yeah.
we got to get better. You know what I mean? And I got to get better as a coach too. You know what I mean? Like I always say, it starts with me. I got to do a better job. It starts with me. But okay, at the end of the day, coaches coach, players play. And when the game's on the line, the defense just not making any plays. You know what I mean? The offense, they're balling, but you still would like to see them a little bit more crispier than usual, because it's some spur of the moments where the Bills, they sputter at times for no reason, for no apparent reason, because of the play calling, the sporadic play calling of Brian Daboll at times. Hopefully we won't get that with Kent Dorsey. Hopefully Kent Dorsey, it's like, having your big brother, little brother, and you look and you admire your big brother, but you see the stupid stuff that he do, and you say, I'm not going to do that when it's my turn. You know what I mean? So hopefully, Ken Dorsey, it's your turn. Don't do the stupid stuff that Brian Daboll done, all right? Because if you did, then we're going to talk about that. And I don't want to talk about you in that regard, because I figure that you should have a way more better offensive mind, you know what I mean, going forward, you know what I mean, than what Daboll's done. Don't come in doing the same thing that he's doing. Obviously, it don't seem that way by the looks of things, by who you bringing in as a staff to help you, to support you. Don't look that way. But I don't know. Can you draft an offensive guard that can come in? I'm just looking at a more suitable route where the Bills don't have to fork over enough cash. But keep in mind, you still have to sign Tremaine Edmonds. You still have to sign Ed Oliver. So you got to have money aside for that as well. We can't just be busting the bank on another free agent lineman, and we got $10 million tied up. We got $10 million tied up with Mitch Morris right now. We got $12 million tied up with Deion Dawkins. We got $5 to $6 million tied up with Feliciano. We got $9 million right now tied up with Darrell Williams. So that's a lot of damn money you got invested in your offensive line right now. We can't go and break the bank on a splash guard. You know what I mean? If we're going to do that type of money, that need to be a skill position. So I don't think that Brian Sheriff would be the answer at that price. Like I said, Bates didn't do a bad job. You know what I mean? So Boddicker didn't do a bad job, but he's coming off that torn Achilles. You don't know how that's going to work. And then he might not even be ready this year, you know what I mean? Because he tore it, late in the season. So 9 times out of 10, an Achilles tear is an entire year thing. You know what I mean? So I don't even see him being back except for probably like week 10. He's not going to start the season off. Boddicker is.
New surgery that they're doing now. I don't know what the new surgery they're doing. Look at Cam Akers. So with the Achilles, but I mean, he was playing like crap before he got.
When was that? That was towards the end of the season, right? That was week 12.
No, he got hurt before training camp.
Right, but that was before the season even started. But
he got hurt in July.
Yeah, he's a younger guy. Boddicker's an older guy.
Well, Boddicker's playing bad anyway. He don't even matter. So he wasn't playing better than Bates.
Yeah,
we know this, Muki. He was not playing better than Bates. So honestly, I don't see a big splash on the offensive line.
Yeah, I see him drafting a true guard than trying to dip in free agency for one.
I see him drafting a guard, and I see him signing a middle of the pack veteran who's has starting experience, who could come in and be somewhat of an upgrade. Because realistically, I mean, it could happen. I just don't see us being able to afford a big splash unless you was a cut of Darrell Williams or you was a cut of Mitch Morris. Then you would. Otherwise, I think we'd be more than we can win with a middle of the pack free agent come in and draft a rookie to come in and compete as well. I think we'd be more than good enough on the offensive line. To be honest, we should have did it this year with the line we had, the patchwork line we had. So if we get a middle of the pack free agent, I think we'd be more than fine because the line wasn't the reason why we lost. Period. That's just keeping it funky. So what we need is a playmaker, another playmaker on offense because Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Cole Beasley probably going to be gone. We need to go get a playmaker, and we need a damn returner, man. I'm telling y'all now, if we don't go get a returner, we're going to lose games because of special teams.
Yeah, Stevenson.
Not saying he can't do it. If you go get a Cordell Patterson, he covered. I love the idea. And not saying that's the only one. I think you go sign another receiver and a Cordell Patterson. You can't just sign Cordell Patterson and say we good. You got to sign a receiver and you got to sign him because he's that gadget player. And I think that's the Swiss Army knife where they can use him all over. And then you go sign another receiver and draft one. So I think that's the move we got to make.
The
And
mid
trade Zach Moss, man. He ain't it. You muted.
the mic's muted, Jay.
Okay. Now I want to apologize too. I think we're getting some feedback from our system. It's not none of us are typing because I hear people putting in the chat that it's a clicking noise. I think it's a system malfunction right now. So I want to apologize for that. So it's not on our end because trust me, none of us are on the computer. We talking off the head. So, but no, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Bills do offensively. I think we're bringing in Cromer, we're bringing in Joe Brady. Like I said before, those are winning moves, and I'm saying those guys are gonna be put us over the top, but it's not settling. It's not being complacent with what you have, and I don't think the roster once this roster on opening day, I don't know what the hell this roster gonna look like. You know what I mean? I really have no idea because, like I said before, I don't think that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane were happy with what they saw this season. I thought you saw the frustration, and I know a lot of people are asking too. I want to touch on this really, really quickly. If we thought that the Brian Daboll, uh, Sean McDermott tension rumor was true. Now, me personally, I'll speak on it first. I definitely think it was true. And the reason I think it was true was this: those last 7 games that we played, we've never seen Brian Daboll call games like that. And I think it got to the point where we were 7-6, and Sean McDermott was no longer suggesting anything. He was telling you what you were gonna do, and any OC is gonna have a little bit of a problem with that. Like I said, especially a guy that's top 4 offense in the league, getting head coaching consideration. He's gonna naturally have an issue with that. So do I think Brian Daboll would have probably left in general? Actually, I do. I think he's going to leave in general if he didn't get a head coaching job. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there was a little bit of tension there. And then Sean McDermott did what he had to do. He said, as head coach, you're going to run this. We're going to run the football. We're going to incorporate the run, and you're going to do it because I told you so. And I ain't got no problem with it. So I don't think it was like crazy tension. I don't think it was like this bad blood or anything like that. But I do feel like, that's what they do. James?
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about David. I mean that the whole situation is. I think it was tension because Daboll. I think the time everybody relationships, especially when you're dealing with guys in the NFL with egos. A lot of it's going to run its course. It's very rare you see a relationship where a coordinator and a head coach stay together 10, 15 years, more than 5. It's very rare because things just run its course. And obviously, our relationship ran its course. It was good while it lasted. It probably was tension. I don't think it was. I don't think it was tension enough to where it would affect the product that came on the field. But I think it was probably personal tension there for sure in regards to his ego being checked. Hey, you gonna run the ball? Who's wouldn't? If you call in shots, somebody come tell you to do it different in a way that's worked for you.
Mhm.
Of course. So that's a yes for me. I definitely was.
But I want to be sure that people think it was. I don't think it's bad blood. It was just a little bit of tension, a little work relationship. Moot.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's the head coach.
Right.
I mean, he should have the liberty to speak his mind. Especially, I mean, let's be clear. I mean, Brian Daboll had an infatuation with Josh Allen. He let Josh Allen do whatever he wanted it to do, and sometimes it was the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. As a coach, I'm not giving my quarterback full reign to do something when he's still learning his way to become the quarterback that he is. And you can it was times where they left the mic open in 3rd and 2 instead of checking it down and getting the first down. You see Josh Allen just chucking the ball downfield and it's an incompletion. It stops the drive. Because this is Daboll telling Josh Allen, hey man, go ahead and chuck it downfield. Instead of doing the right play to keep the sticks moving, to keep the offense going, to keep your defense off the field. So he gave Josh Allen full reign, and sometimes that lost ball games. When you look at the Jacksonville game, I get it, but now this is where we come into the analytic portion of it. Analytically, at that point in time of the year, when Bills did RPO, study shows that Josh Allen kept the ball 90% of the time. And I never understood that. Like, they always fake it to the running back. They never gave it to the running back. Cardinal rule and RPO, you give it to the running back no matter what. I don't care. The running back touches the ball first in RPO. If he gets 1 yard, fine. But you keep the defense honest to know that, hey, the running back can run this ball. On 3rd and 2, Bills do RPO. Josh Allen could have gave it to Singletary. Singletary probably would have ran 35 yards for a touchdown. And we wouldn't be talking about this game stopping our home field advantage.
He had just broken one too, right? He had just
but
broke one.
Analytics. Josh Allen keeps the ball. So what did the defensive end do? He didn't bite. He stayed right on Josh Allen. Josh Allen kept the ball, and he ended up fumbling, and the Bills lose the game. But this is Daboll giving him full reign to do that. You should be like, yo, give the ball to Singletary here. You know what I mean? But we're not being physical. We're playing soft. You got teams with the crappiest record talking about, yeah, these dudes soft. They don't feel like playing. But this is the soft play calling that we're getting from the offense at this point in time. So, yeah, that's going to frustrate you, especially, I mean, when you look at it, Coach was saying that we got to be a more physical team late in December. You got to run the ball in December. So how we being passive aggressive in December and not running the football? We running with our quarterback. You running him, you're going to get him hurt. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Coach probably got on him a little bit, and that's what he needs. You know, everybody should be able to take constructive criticism as a coach, especially when you're not the head coach. So the head coach came down on him. He probably didn't like it, felt a certain kind of way, was in his feelings. But I don't think that Daboll is going to leave. Where he's going to go? So you're going to let your emotions take you away from a Super Bowl contender team? Where you was going to go? Daboll to be another offensive coordinator? Where? You going to do all that just to get away from Coach McDermott? You mean to tell me Coach McDermott scared you away from Josh Allen? I beg to differ on that. He wasn't going to go anywhere. That was just all cap. If you ask me, that was just all cap. I don't think that man would have went anywhere. He's too much infatuated with Josh to just get up to leave for an emotional, strain with the coach because the coach got on him about running the football, in which he should. You know what I mean? So I don't think that tension was that bad to the point where Daboll would have left if he didn't get a head coaching position. Daboll ass would have been right here where he belonged because Josh would have told him to stay right here. So I don't think that was valid at all. I don't think so.
Right. I mean, and just one thing we don't talk about is what Sean McDermott moved on. No one ever talks about that side of it. I'm not saying he would have. I'm not going to guarantee he wouldn't have either. It wouldn't have made too much sense to do so, but it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that really quick. Like, I know a lot of people have been asking about that report and just wondering if it was true or not. But we'll never know. We'll never know. But last time
I'm gonna ask Daboll if I run into him at the combine, I'm like, yo, man, was you really thinking about leaving if you didn't get a hit? I'm gonna ask him that. I could, we talked last time.
He's gonna tell you. He's gonna tell you no.
He's gonna let me.
That man gonna tell you no.
He's a Western New Yorker. Where is he gonna go? He's from here. Like, I don't get that. He's from here. He played high school football at St. Francis. You think that he was gonna leave to go where? To be an offensive coordinator? Where? What's a better offensive coordinator position than where he's at right now? You gonna let Coach McDermott scare you off? I don't think so. That was just cap to test Brian Flores to see if we gave him the job, would he make Brian Daboll the offensive coordinator because, quote unquote, we felt that he wasn't a happier. That was our cap for Brian Flores. Brian Flores put that out there, if I'm not mistaken, right? Brian Flores can't put that out there, so that's how that goes. That's just common courtesy when you're doing the interview process. Say, hey, Daboll was in here. Would you mind bringing him in as the OC if we were to give you the position because we heard that he's unhappy, yada, 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 just to stroke Flores' ego, just to check his temperature, see will he make that happen. Just how Patrick Graham was supposed to have been the top guy to keep, right?
Right.
To keep. If Daboll got the job, would you keep him? Hell yeah, we'll keep him, right? But what did Graham go do? He went go be a DC somewhere else.
The Raiders, right?
So that's just how that works. That's just how that works. I don't think it was any friction to the point where he would just really get up and leave like that.
Last topic of the night, man, and we're going to get up out of here. We're going to make this quick, but it's something I wanted to talk about because I think it's an interesting decision by Josh Allen. So obviously we know over the weekend Josh Allen decided to skip the Pro Bowl. Yeah, though he was an alternate, he should have been alternate. He should have been over Lamar Jackson, but we're not going to discuss that. But he did decide to skip the pathetic Pro Bowl, and I'm going to call it pathetic because that's exactly what it is at this point in time. And he decided to go play Pebble Beach, and get his Happy Gilmore on at the golf tournament. And actually, he did very well there. Was it right or wrong for him to skip the Pro Bowl? Because obviously we know last year he was selected to the Pro Bowl, and there was no Pro Bowl due to the pandemic. Did it hurt recruiting? Could he have been around his cohorts? Obviously, we saw Patrick Mahomes, Tyree Hill there. A lot of Bills Mafia was up in arms when they saw Stephon Diggs having fun with Pat Mahomes and Tyree Hill. Come on, people, y'all getting a little crazy with that. But was he wrong to skip it? James, Pro Bowl, we talked about this. Recruiting
No,
moment?
no. The recruiting does not happen at the Pro Bowl. It's not the NBA where they recruit in the All-Star game and all of that. It don't go down like that. These dudes work out together. The recruiting happens in the off-season workouts. I could tell you my pro workouts, it was a group of 10 of us from Western New York. And best believe me, it was talks about what area popping, where everybody should go. The recruiting happened there. And I used to throw my little lugs in like, hey, tell the GM to bring me in for a workout. Absolutely. So that's where the recruiting happens in NFL, because a lot of these dudes work out together. And I don't think the Pro Bowl is that. It's not that at all. Everybody kind of chilling with their family, kicking it, having a good time. It's really not a business type of trip. But when they working on off season, you working next to somebody, you put somebody pushing you working hard. Like, damn. I mean, I can grind with this dude. This is the type of teammate I want, and that's when those talks start to happen. And I don't think he missed nothing there at all.
Gotcha. Mook, Pro Bowl or Pebble Beach?
I'm going to Pebble Beach, baby. I'm going to, go what relaxes my mind. I'm done with football, especially the way we lost. I don't want to see another football till OTAs. I'm still pissed off. You think I want to go play some cockamamie Pro Bowl that don't mean anything? You know what I mean? They're playing two-hand touch out there. Well, not even two-hand touch. They're playing one-hand touch, in equipment. You think I want to be a part of some of that, especially when y'all snub me? You think y'all going to make me some alternate? I'm no damn alternate. I'm Josh Allen. I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. How dare y'all snub me when I was a Pro Bowler the year before? So guess what? I'm going to take my frustrations out on this ball that I'm going to hit with my 9-iron and see how far I can drive the ball, and hopefully I don't hit any bunkers. I'm going to enjoy being out there on the pro golf circuit, and everybody loves me out there. Maybe I can get another endorsement deal or something like that. Something that's going to make me some money, something that's going to make me a little bit more happier than being on a football field right now. So I love how he snubbed him back. I bet you what, next year, they're not going to snub him. He's going to be a first ballot, Pro Bowler, as he should. And then hopefully next year they'll be playing in the Super Bowl, so he won't get the opportunity to play in the flag league.
That's exactly what it is. It's a flag league at this point. And I love what Prime said when Prime put a tweet out. I said, "Oh good Lord, it's if you're gonna play like this, don't even play the game anymore. At this point, don't even bother. When I see Mac Jones run for an 80-yard run and then they blow the whistle, then he hits a gritty. And first of all, Mac Jones like the 12th alternate at quarterback because no one else could go. At this point, why are we even playing this game anymore? There's no point to play this game at all. It's horrible. Don't waste your time. Like you said, it's good for the family, but I don't care if you go to a flag football tournament. Maybe get 5 teams or 6 teams together and go to a flag football tournament. Do some skill competition off alignment. I don't know what you got to do, but this is over. I remember being a kid, and this was my last football game of the year that I would watch. This is your last football moment, and teams played hard. Now, I didn't even tune in. I didn't try to tune in. I didn't even check the stats. I didn't care because it was that bad. I went to the Pro Bowl 2 years ago, right, the year before the pandemic. Didn't cancel it, and it was so bad watching it in person. So bad. So I'm all for Josh skipping it. go put some more money in your pocket, like you said. Move, go get some endorsement deals if you can. He looked good at Pebble Beach. Maybe he'll get some endorsement deals from Titleist or someone like that. But now I'm okay with him skipping it. I agree with you, James. The recruiting happens in the workouts, and honestly, you're Josh Allen at this point. How much you got to recruit? A tweet is good enough. Hop in the DMs, come play with me. I'm coming to play with you.
I mean, or you could say, okay, the guys who was third team All Pro, why don't y'all play the All Rookie team or something? Make it competitive or something. They got to do something to make it competitive, or just put the flags around their waist and go grab a flag. Even though that'd be a little bit more competitive, more intense, because it's not easy to grab a flag. You know what I mean? So to get that touch and stuff, grab a flag. That way they're gonna body up on those guys a little bit more and see who got good hand-eye coordination and snatching that flag instead of just tagging them. So I don't know. The competition committee got to figure that one out.
Yeah, because that was a horrible display, and it's getting worse, and the players aren't taking it serious. I saw Trent Brown say, release a tweet out today. Why would you go play in a game right before free agency and mess your money up? That shit is stupid. Excuse me, that's what he said. Well, I tend to find that comment stupid because not everybody's a free agent going into that game. A lot of these guys are locked up in deals. A lot of these guys, some of these guys are on rookie deals. A lot of these guys don't need that game to go make money, or if somehow, God forbid, they get injured, they're gonna lose money because of that. Especially with modern technology, we've been watching the Pro Bowl for the last 30 years, and I may have seen one slight injury and one injection with Kevin Gogan and Neil Smith. Okay, I've never seen anything outside of that. So I'm just saying they got to figure that out. But other than that, guys, I mean, that's our show. Any final thoughts? Anything going on in y'all neighborhoods or in y'all lives right now? Mook, what's going on?
Just we have to wait and see what next moves occur. I mean, the Giants just took Meek Martindale as their defensive coordinator, so don't look for nobody on the Bills' defensive side to get a job nowhere. It's all gonna happen on the offensive end. But hey, you got the NFL Combine coming up in March. So free agent is right around the corner right after that. So, we just have to wait and see. You're going to start hearing rumors flying around on who's leaving, who's going, who's potentially, coming to Buffalo. And don't get it twisted now. Buffalo is very, very attractive to a free agent who's looking to make a last Super Bowl run, a last playoff run. So, hey, it's been happening over the course of the years. Guys like Emmanuel Sanders and things of that nature. Don't be surprised. Hey, consider it a business trip, or whatever what you want to call it. So Buffalo is very enticing to, a free agent right now. So it's all about the Bills making sure they have enough money to, make it all work.
Right, Akeem Hicks. Speaking of that, Akeem Hicks is a name that I'll keep a very close eye on. A guy I definitely bring in. Covers up a lot of flaws here at the defensive line. James, final thoughts. Anything going on? I know your UAS Blaze started up 7-on-7.
Yeah. Bills first. I'm excited for the offseason. I think it's going to be a couple splash moves. I know we'll have a show to talk more about that. I got some things in mind. So we'll talk about that. So I'm excited. Like Muki said, the rumors about to start flying right after the Super Bowl. There's going to be rumors. People are going to start talking. A lot of dudes already know what they want to do now. Honestly, a lot of veterans already know they're going to be released on X date. They immediately. I'm pretty sure Cole Beasley know if he's going to be a Buffalo Bill or not already. And that's just what it is. That's how they do things. But my travel 7-on-7 team, we are getting it popping. So we leave for Michigan in March. So we just cooking, man. We stay low and out the way, man. We ain't doing the posting every move on Facebook and all that. We just fly under the radar, work our ass off, man. And all these young men are getting better and just really, really competing hard. I'm proud of all 32 of them. So we're going to get after it in Michigan, and we're going to represent the 716 real well.
All right, you guys go out there and you guys handle that. I don't know if that water's still bad out there. If it is, don't drink it. Cody Wells says, Cody Wells says, let the Jags in Detroit play for the #1 draft pick for the place of Pro Bowl. I'd watch that. That'd be a good game. Well, no, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I don't know if we're going to be on air next week because obviously with the offseason now it's going to be slow. I think I actually got to work next Tuesday. I think she put me on to work next Tuesday. That ain't cool. But if anything, if we will be back, keep watching my page for announcements. We'll be having it in the Cold Front Report story. Make sure we keep following the Cold Front Report. We're going to be having our draft team. We'll be releasing all our draft content out pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. We got scouting reports galore. EJ Mutt Dog and Scott over there are going to be releasing all that type of stuff. We're going to do a lot of off-season shows this year. Like I told you, last couple of years, I've always kind of taken this time as a break off. But we're not breaking. We're gonna talk about all this stuff because this is when you separate yourself. And I'm sorry to say this, but just when you separate yourself from content creators to the real content creators, people who really with the game. Because when the content dries up, you have to find content. That's why we not stopping. That's why we'll be here. So, shout out to all the content creators out there still grinding too and doing your thing. Because like I said, this ain't easy. The off season becomes hard, and James is up sideways. But other than that, dancing on ceiling, Lionel Richie. Well, now I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This is Nessa Person. I'm your host JTM, and thank you to my guests as always, Bills beat writer Muki Hawkins, NFL pedigree, former NFL running back James Mallory, and we will see you guys either next week or the week after. And as always, man, thank you for tuning in. Go Bills.